The Twin Towers. They stood 110 stories above the bustling city of New York. Built in 1973, Manhattan's World Trade Center accommodated 50,000 workers and nearly 200,000 daily visitors. These 10 million square feet of space housed the financial district of America's economy. The towers quickly became a famous tourist attraction and a symbol of America's rapidly growing and successful economy. Naturally, thousands of people were in these buildings every day, making it a perfect target for a terrorist group to grab the attention of the American government. On September 11, 2001, two Boeing jets filled with 10,000 gallons of jet fuel struck both the north and south towers of the World Trade Center. The first crash happened at 8:45 a.m., striking the north tower between the 94th and 98th floors. The crash ignited 3,000 of the 10,000 gallons of fuel that the jet was carrying, engulfing the floors in flames. The impact alone created massive structural damage. Nearly 18 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., the second hijacked plane collided with the south tower between the 78th and 84th floors. The second jet barreled at the tower at an even higher speed than the first. However, whereas it may seem the initial impact was the cause for the collapse of the building, there were more causes behind the fall. Even with functional sprinklers, it would have been impossible for them to extinguish the fire caused by the fuel, as it burns at 800 to 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. While these extreme temperatures are not enough to melt the steel beams, they are enough to weaken the structural integrity of them, thus losing their strength. In fact, steel loses about half of its strength at only 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. This weakening of the steel trusses is what eventually caused the collapse of the towers. Furthermore, when steel is not at a uniform temperature, it warps and buckles. The outside air was not nearly as hot as the flames on the inside of the building, causing the steel frame to give out. The Twin Towers were set up for failure from the start. During the time when they were being designed and built, a new approach to building skyscrapers was to make them light in order to accelerate the building process and reduce material cost. Besides the cheap materials and the raging flame, there was a huge flaw in the design of the towers, which if done differently, would have kept the whole building from collapsing. Large buildings tend to have a redundant design, which allows for one member to fail and the building to stay intact. However, under this type of design, if multiple members fail, the shifting loads overstress the members adjacent to those that have failed and create a domino-like collapse. This situation is exactly what occurred in the towers, causing them to fail.
Immediately I knew this wasn't an accident.
Oh my God. That looked like a direct attack. What?
Chief Pfeiffer made the first official report.
We have a number of floors on fire. It looked like the plane was aiming towards the building. Transmit a third alarm. We'll have the staging area at Vesey and West Street.
Immediately following the initial collision of the plane and the North Tower, emergency responders were on duty to save those who remained from the building. Firefighters, police, and even regular civilians rushed to the tower to do all they could to help. However, no reparations were taken for the building, since once they collapsed, there was no repairing them.
Whatever has occurred has just occurred within minutes, and we are trying to determine exactly what that is.
Where you are, Chief? Want me right in there? Go right in front?
As we swung around in front of World Trade, my mind tells me, wow, this is bad.
What do we do? Like, what do we do for this?
We parked right under the awning of One World Trade Center. Chief Pfeiffer puts his gear on, and I remember asking him, Chief, can I come in with you? I want to come in with you. And he says, yep.
Yeah, you stay with me.
Come in with me, never leave my side.
You got the chance.
I go in, and I hear screams, and right to my right, there is two people on fire, burning. I just didn't want to film that. It was like, no one should see this.
Pfeiffer was the first chief into the building. Right away, a guy from the Port Authority told him the damage was somewhere above the 78th floor. But all you had to do was look around. It was obvious. Something had happened right there in the lobby.
You just saw that all the windows were blown out.
The lobby looked like the plane hit the lobby.
Later, they figure out that flaming jet fuel had shot straight down the elevator shaft.
All of this damage was done already. People was all over the place. So you knew it was going to be worse when we got upstairs.
Planes are shooting out. Smoke is pouring out.
I want you to get an engine and team up. Get an offside line. Walk to 7. Okay, I want you to go any higher than 70.
My main concern was we had 20 floors of people above. And we had to figure out a way to get them out. As it turned out, we had no usable elevators.
With the elevators out, there was only one way to get up there. Walk.
Companies come in. You see them with a concerned look on their face. And they're sent up.
A firefighter in full gear, carrying 60-something pounds of hose and equipment. Takes about a minute to climb one flight of stairs. These guys were looking at 80 stories just to get there. Then they'd start working.
Today, in the place where the Twin Towers once stood, there's the One World Trade Center building, as well as 9/11 memorials, commemorating everyone who was lost that day on September 11th, 2001.
Life was a shooting star that burned out way too fast, and all the memories of a dream that's built to last.